This is the story of a little ship that took a little trip.
That's right. Star Trek DS9, Season 6, Episode 14, One Little Ship, which released in 1998. It's over. It has been for a long time, 25 years, in fact. But we're just getting started here on Live Long and Podcast, our ongoing journey to rewatch every episode of Star Trek DS9. I'm Dave Mader, joined with Jeff Mader and Kevin Millard and Jaemeel Robinson to break down yet another installment of DS9 after the fact. As Season 6 trucks on here. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Yeah. Great.
Yep.
Jaemeel, good?
It's okay.
I
That's
had
good.
a little great time watching this little tiny episode.
Yes, of course.
I'm sorry. It was very small of me.
Yeah. We got, of course, there's a live stream here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Or, we got Sam with us, of course. One Little Ship. Yes. We got, of course, Jaemeel Robinson in the comments as well, guys. So let's talk about One Little Ship, guys. How was it for you rewatching this episode, Kevin?
It's good. It's always fun. It's kind of a ridiculous episode. I like the casual racism of the Jem'Hadar.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny.
right.
This guy's really starting.
Wait, that's not it. I need the where's the Jem'Hadar?
Well, the gammas have many flaws.
Many flaws with those gammas. Not like us alphas.
Anyone who describes themselves as an alpha is always a problem.
Yes. Jeff, One Little Ship, 14th installment of Season 6. How does this rank for you?
Not great. I'm not gonna lie. This episode's stupid. It doesn't. And even though I'm all for a silly episode, but at the same time, it's trying to draw this line between like people are about to be murdered, and then at the same time, we got a little tiny ship flying around. I don't know. For me, it just doesn't. It doesn't know what it wants to be. Is it a comedic episode, or is it like a serious episode with just a tiny ship flying around and helping out? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like they missed the mark on this episode.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That was my internet being a little weak tonight for some reason. Well, I like this episode. I'm a big fan of it. Jaemeel, I don't know. What do you think? Where are you sitting with this?
So coming off of what we just seen last week, I'm sorry. I started watching this episode and I'm like, oh my God, it's one of those. And it just went on and on. Like, it's not a bad episode. I just questioned its placement because I needed something with a little bit more meat on it than this episode right at this moment.
Oh, sorry. Did I freeze on you guys?
You did.
You did. I thought you were like really like
in
taking in what I just said and just analyzing the situation.
I was, of course. Yeah. No, I think okay, here, I'm going to try something just quickly here.
I don't. Do you guys like see what I was saying? That like I don't I don't think the Jem'Hadar were like the best foils for this either. They're not great comedically. They're too serious. I just don't see this episode doesn't work for me in the way they want it to work.
Okay.
I think that's the way I kind of view the episode. Like, I think it's fun and some of the comedic stuff I like and the jokes are good, but then like it's mixed with this super serious hostage.
Why am I caring? I like the episode. I don't even dislike the episode.
Still caring.
Still caring.
I don't know. Do you get Kevin? Do you see my point there, or do you just kind of just roll with it? And this episode is what it is.
I think it is what it is. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I enjoy it still. I like it. I think it's fun. I think it's a fun one to have after last week. Kind of a break from such serious themes.
Yeah, it's strange, but it's also like, yeah, after Far Beyond the Stars, which is like this fever dream kind of thing, that you kind of do this episode, which is kind of back to the war, which they haven't really touched upon in a while. So it feels like they needed to, but I have 580 screenshots here, guys, that we can run through.
Why? Dude, there is not that many. Like,
yes, 580. All of them are important. First one starting off here with the Defiant, which they haven't taken that out for a spin in a while. Like, they've referenced it, but we got a Defiant episode, guys. It was mostly not set on the station.
Right.
And not
it also been referred to as a little ship by Riker.
Right.
Tough little ship. Little.
Right. Well, Worf.
I do not see what is so humorous about being small.
Yeah. But it's not only a Defiant episode, it's a Defiant and a Runabout episode, which normally these two sets are not combined, which I thought was another fun thing in the episode, that they brought these two ships together. That's just something I think is fun. And we see here that this is where they go, it's like a scientific mission in the middle of the war, which, in retrospect, maybe not a good idea, but they were doing military research here. Worf was saying that this wasn't all just playing around.
Mission number 1 is always exploration, right?
Right. It's supposed to be. But they brought Kira along for the mission too. She's a Bajoran administrator. She's not an explorer, but she thinks this whole thing about shrinking them down into size of coffee cups, which is actually much smaller. They're only like 1 centimeter tall or whatever. She thinks it's hilarious. Did you guys? I guess that didn't work for you, Jeff. She was.
I think, like she's pointing out the silliness of this episode, and it's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. That's what this episode is.
It's like Ant-Man.
Is it? It's not even. It's not so
no, it's more like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
if it was like Ant-Man, it would be a little bit more stylish. It would be a heist type of episode, and
it is like they have to get the codes.
Look,
and then
a heist has specific things. Okay, so who's the crew that they pick up? They don't put together a crew.
They already have it. It's already assembled.
There's no montage. It's not a heist picture.
All right.
It's more like Honey Shrunk the Kids, especially the moment when like O'Brien and Bashir are like in that like node area, and he's like, what node is it? He's like, I don't know.
There was no scene of like the Jemadars about to eat some cereal or some Ketracel White, and the guy's like in the spoon or anything like that.
It would be when they're putting the tools away and almost up the Defiant. That's your Cheerios moment.
Yeah, Dave, it's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I like this episode, but it's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
That's okay. That's a good movie. I hope we get to talk about a Hold Up one day. And okay, but what about the whole bit? The whole bit here with like Dax was expecting a poem from Worf. You got to write a poem for a special.
It is an ancient Klingon tradition to commemorate an important event with a poem.
A poem, he's a warrior poet. And then like they want to hear it from him, and like I think it's Nog who covers in here when Worf's not feeling it.
So what about all the poems that should have happened for all of the events that happened prior to this? Because this seems the least important to all the other events that has happened.
It's important to Jadzia. That's what she. That's how it's her scientific discovery. I do have some criticisms with the episode in some respects with who they gave lines to who within the Runabout team. So we see that they're getting shrunk down. So this is set up right in the beginning of the episode. That there were probes that went through, and they kind of wonder what it feels like. And that's where we cut over to the team. We got O'Brien, Dax, and Bashir. I wonder if they tested unmanned probes, but do you think that they tried any other life forms through here before they went themselves?
It's not ethical anymore.
Not ethical. So
it has to be humans.
No animal testing.
Yeah.
So this is O'Brien and these are the test subjects, if you will. And they say, I don't feel any smaller, and Bashir's making fun of him. I really like the dialogue in the episode. It's funny that there's a lot of like good ribbon here. especially with O'Brien. And O'Brien is really annoyed with Bashir a lot, which I always find fun. Although I have some criticisms of who they gave lines to who in the team, as I've been mentioning. Like when they're explaining some of the science of this, they give a lot of lines to Bashir. I'm like, this is not a Bashir line. This should be like a Dax line. She is the science officer.
Oh, is she?
She's supposed to be.
As far as I can tell,
she's supposed to be.
She's just Benjamin's right hand man. You know, that's
she's Benjamin's bones, right?
Yeah, like that's literally like what she is throughout the episode. She's like, if I know Benjamin, I know what he'd be doing.
Yeah, and he's like, wish I was with you, old man. And like, there's some lines like that thrown into the episode. But yeah, like she doesn't do a lot of science generally, and some of those lines are given to Bashir. Like when I think back to like Spock, the original science officer, was so good at it. And then like I guess it's Data in the next gen team. But and like knowing what to do with that character within your team and within a Star Trek show. But I think like that's what they don't do well in Deep Space Nine in terms of giving that to like they'll give a scientific line to almost anybody, like instead of there sort of being the sage, like the one who knows all.
Do you know what I felt throughout this episode is that I felt like this episode was the closest to a Voyager episode of any Deep Space Nine episode I've watched. And the reason why I say that is because Deep Space Nine rarely ever is in engineering. There's a few episodes, but it's very rare. This whole episode basically takes place in engineering. The engine room.
The engine
I don't want to call it engineering. And it's just like throughout the episode, I'm just like, this is like Voyager. Like, I mean, like that's how it felt. Silly.
This could be a Voyager script. I could see it for sure. You could give this story to Voyager, switch out the Jemadar, make them Herodians or something. Yeah. It's the same. You could do it for sure. And like, maybe if Harry Kim and 7 of 9 and the Doctor are in the shuttle, then it's a whole different storyline. Or in the Delta Flyer instead of a runabout. Like it totally could be. But
so funny enough, in the chat, Sam was like, "Wait, is this Voyager? Defiant Voyager?" And I was like, "No, the Defiant is with Deep Space Nine. The Delta Flyer is with Voyager." So I just found it kind of funny that this conversation has kind of gone full circle.
Oh, I didn't even notice the chat. Yeah, but yeah, throughout the episode,
that's why I'm focusing on it.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. I was like, this is Voyager. Like it's a Voyager script, and like, here you go, Deep Space Nine. We wrote this for you. And the only thing that's kind of like,
but it could be a next gen story too. You could give this story to next gen. You could give the story to Enterprise. Like it doesn't really matter. It could kind of fit into any show.
Isn't that terrible?
Yeah, that's kind of what I don't like about it.
We're so late in this show's like series that they're like, well, we'll just dust off generic, Star Trek show episode, and just fit it in there.
I think what you might not be liking about the episode is not very character driven at all. The story, it's a very plot driven episode. There's a little bit of like Cisco being the clever guy to like fool them or whatever, but again, you could give this any captain.
I was just gonna say, was he really that clever?
He was kind of a dick, and he was in a way he was very defiant. And then I love at the end where he's like, "You should have killed me when you had a chance." I'm like, is he a villain? I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like,
like
I can't get any work done in here.
The episode is, it's like an oxymoron, it feels like.
Yeah, there's a little bit of like that stuff at the end with Odo and Quark, like where they're making fun of O'Brien and Bashir, making them feel smaller. But yeah, I think largely, like what I kind of like about the episode is like Nog is featured prevalently in the episode. He's one of the team now. He's one of the crew. There's no Odo here, which I also appreciate, because what would Odo even do in this episode?
Kill everyone.
Kill everyone. Actually,
he would decide each Jemadar until they die.
Actually, if he had been aboard, would they have attacked? They probably would, right?
Probably not.
They would have attacked, but like they could not do anything to Odo. What were they going to do? Stop him?
They would have attacked, but they would have brought the female founder on. They would have went and had sex, and then to distract him. Kira would have got mad. That's what would happen.
They're not putting him in any positions where he can betray them. because he did betray them before.
Davan says he skips this one sometimes. He's not a fan of this episode.
I don't blame him.
Think,
Yeah, I don't
think of
blame
your
him
fellow
either.
man.
It's just so
Put a little
like
love in your heart. That's all I have to say.
I just feel like if this happened maybe 3 episodes ago, right? Okay, I would have been fine. I just feel like we're better than this. This felt like this felt like expose. It just felt like it was there. Like we were just spinning our wheels into. Yes, it feels like we're spinning our wheels until we get to the more important episode.
I love this. I love this coming up here to the credits. Like Jem'Hadar all beam aboard. You know, he's looking over Kira and he's just like, oh, what a day. You know, and it's like,
That's what you love?
I love it.
It's the Nikki and Paolo episode. You're right.
It is.
No,
it is.
A little bit that way. The only thing I kind of dig character-wise from the crew is Cisco, because I'm like, there's the Cisco I know. He's such a dick, and he's so defiant, and he's making like terrible command decisions in a lot of ways. He's putting his whole crew at risk. You know, he's really like he's very Machiavellian as a captain. Like the ends justify the means. You know, he like a lot of captains would just surrender and just, you know, I think just trying to like diplomatically get out of the situation. But he's like, no, we're gonna find a way to take over the ship.
It's later in the episode, but Nog has my 2 favorite scenes, and it's when he's like, is Nog having any luck? He turns and Nog's just. And then the other one is when they start fighting the Jem'Hadar and he knocks the gun out of his hand, but then the Jem'Hadar just knocks him across the room.
Yeah. I have a shot where he's like looking like, oh my god, I hurt.
Like this was a bad idea, bro. Why'd you do that? Run and hide.
So just I'm back here. Sorry, I think I was freezing again. I have high speed internet. I don't know what the heck is going on tonight, but connectivity issues. Anyway, so we meet. Okay, I thought it was also interesting the idea of the alphas and the gammas. This is also what this episode sort of teaches us. I know it seems like pretty dumb, but it's also, I guess, to show how petty the Dominion is and how these Jem'Hadar are, and how this show is really a lot about faith and religion, a lot, you know, specifically, like, you know, in this case, the Jem'Hadar's belief in the Dominion and the way of things. And this second, who was the first, he was a Gamma. He comes from the Gamma quadrant. He's replaced by this guy from the Alpha quadrant. You know, the alphas and the gammas, as we're told, and you know, but the alphas all seem dumb, and the gammas, or at least these in this case, seem smart and have the better tactics. You know,
We are smart.
we are smart. We need things to make us go. Hey, Vorta. We get the shot of the Vorta, and we're seeing how, like, when you're talking on a view screen with a Vorta, they're just looking into their little Google Glass thing, and.
I feel like you said, Kevin said earlier that he views this as like a kind of racist, but I look at it as more ageist. You know, it's like it's like the old guys are like now being told, no, the young people are now in charge. You have to listen to them, and
they're dumb and they're experienced and they haven't earned it. Basically, it's also a little bit that like the younger generation wants it sooner than they've earned it.
Yeah,
and we also hear that the Vorta are. At least this Vorta, and you imagine most Vorta, are probably, you know, actively perpetuating the competition between the two groups, right?
Yeah, I get what you're saying with the ageist thing, but they do explain that they are a different race, and they're bred differently for this. That's what made me think.
True.
That yeah.
So, and the genetic engineering was specifically done by the founders themselves, right? And so is the female changeling, I guess, ultimately responsible for the creation of the alphas?
Would have to be, right?
Right, because she's the only founder we know of being in the Alpha Quadrant, right? Like, so
yeah, they never really shared the love with the founders, which I never understood. Doesn't it cost less to do an Odo mask than it does to do all these Jem'Hadar, makeups.
Well, the founders are more are presented as being more reclusive, but we know that they did all the genetic engineering. They genetically engineered the Vorta. They genetically engineered the Jem'Hadar in the first place.
But in the total of the show, I believe we meet 3 founders with the founder makeup.
There's the one that Odo kills in the episode in the engine room. The only other one that's really prominently in the engine room, I find.
Yep. And then Odo, and then the female changeling, right? And then every other founder is like already shapeshifted into something.
Yeah, usually in another form, not usually in the and Laws, the one that J.G. Hertzler plays in season 7. So that's the only other one I can think of. And I guess the one when we first met the founders in the original episode, with I think it's called Defiant, if I'm right. And yeah, there's a couple extras that are shown next to the female changeling. But anyway, so we're just looking at here through the screenshots of the conflict where the Gamma guy here, the second, he wants to execute Cisco, and the Alpha's like, no, we're gonna use him to fix the warp drive and get us out of here. Make us go. We need him to make us go. And he's like, well, no, you can't do that. And so there's some conflict here. We see here that there's not too many officers left. They say that the senior officers were put in the mess hall, which is where we see here Kira and Nog and Cisco and Worf. But the rest of the crew apparently are in the cargo bay somewhere. Because there should be about 50 people on this ship, but they say only a few survivors are in the cargo bay. So presumably a lot of this crew were killed in this initial attack.
Yeah, it's a good thing that nobody ever gets the memo to take the senior staff and separate them.
Yes. You think that, because they'll put them all in the room. We'll just take their comm badges. What will they be able to do then? We saw here Worf was getting pretty grumpy with Nog, blaming himself for the whole thing. And Nog's like, it wasn't really your fault because you couldn't have seen this coming, et cetera, et cetera. Worf's like, I don't need him.
Let him pout.
Let him pout. I don't need him to tell me anything. And Cisco's like, we can blame people later. We can't do anything unless we get out of this room. But Cisco doesn't even have to figure out how to get out of the room, because right then the Jem'Hadar show up and say, come help us fix this. So they take him away. And here, we get some of the fun stuff. I think is all with the runabout team here, where they have to get the shutters open first. This was cutting edge stuff for 1998, guys.
They gotta open the shutters.
They gotta get the shutters open. Theater
great experience of your lifetime at home. Open the
ask and you shall receive.
I liked that. And then they get this open.
What the hell is that?
What the hell is that?
Why couldn't they make a miniature version of the intro?
Isn't this here where Bashir's looking up? Isn't this the GIF we see sometimes here where he's like, huh?
Actually, I've never seen that one, but
neither have I.
Yeah, I don't.
Note to self.
Oh, maybe it should be a GIF. Oh, come on,
I'll do that. I'll do that after the show.
You're supposed to use it when you're looking at a comment above, that's really weird.
Yeah, which is hard nowadays because of Facebook's algorithm messing up the order of posts. Yeah. Thanks, Dave, for reminding me.
Sorry, I didn't mean to hit the nerve there. Here, but yeah, we get the perspective as we see that the runabout is so small here, and we see that we got this really great close up here of the Defiant, which I love. This is a great shot.
So that's why you love this episode. It reminds you of motion picture and the starship porn.
Well, I don't mind a little starship porn. I'm just saying,
I do not wish to be ridiculed.
Yeah. So here we go here. They're flying along with the ship. Oh, some great close-ups here of the ship we never get. Yeah.
It's all about the ships and the uniforms for Dave at the end of the day.
Then there's the phasers.
The story that comes third.
Yeah.
It's
this is a great story. It's so much fun.
Is it?
Keep telling yourself that, Dave.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's passable. It's not god awful or anything. It's just like Jameel's right. The placement's weird, but also it's just kind of like a silly. It's to me, it's beneath Deep Space Nine. It would have been a great Babylon 5.
No, don't say that. Well, Babylon 5 would have had a really fun time with this storyline. I can tell you that much. Like they had their own great stories. And they did, this was a Deep Space Nine story. It's all good. It's don't be disparaging on Babylon 5 by saying that this should have been a Babylon 5 episode. I think this is a good Deep Space Nine episode in itself. Even though it could, yes, I agree. The story is generic and the script is, it's a very plot-driven story that could be given to any crew. And does that make it a little worse coming off Far Beyond the Stars? Maybe.
Just a little bit is what O'Brien.
A little bit, just a little bit, just like here with O'Brien.
I don't find the comedy like all that great either in this episode. Like it's okay, but like it's the same joke. It's very one note. It's always you're little. It's a little ship. It's a little poem. It's a little. Well, don't be small about it or whatever. Every joke is the same, and it's just like I get it.
The writers thought that was important. They thought that like making little jokes was important. This is the 90s. Those jokes were more in fashion, maybe.
I'm surprised there wasn't like a little dick joke in this episode.
They're all little dick jokes.
The closest we got was with the Dabble girl at the end.
No, with the Worf thing here.
I do not see what is so humorous about being small.
That's a dick joke.
Okay, so yeah, I guess I'm right that there are dick jokes.
There's
but
dick
yeah,
jokes.
again, it's the same joke. It's like to me, it's like an 11-year-old child wrote this episode. That's kind of how I take this episode.
An 11-year-old child, like
yes,
harsh. I think this is a pretty good television episode of television.
14-year-old.
This was a good episode. 1998, One Little Ship, classic.
Okay. It's a classic.
I'm going to defend it. I'm going to defend this episode. This is a decent episode of Star Trek DS9.
I think everybody said it was a decent episode.
I'm starting to realize season 6 isn't as much as you make it. Some of the best episodes are in season 6, but overall, like there are episodes where you just kind of go, "Really? This episode?" I didn't realize it was in season 6. And then you're like, "Oh, okay."
I can hear where like the Alpha and the Gamma are arguing here in the scene, and then like Sisko's just watching it. Them go back and forth. You're playing into his hands. And then like Sisko walks up to them. He's like, "I'm glad you two worked that out." Like that's a great moment.
Great moment. That just seemed like, come on, are you kidding me?
I thought he was being way too flippant with like the fact that he is the prisoner in this situation. And
that's Sisko, man. He doesn't mess around. Like he's gonna get out of this. He plays it cool.
Oh, he overplays his hand. I find a little bit.
He goes hard. He's
I can't get any work done in here.
And then he makes this deal here with the Jem'Hadar first. He's like, I'm gonna need some help, whatever. But yeah, like shouldn't like it's I don't know. Are the Jem'Hadar just bloodthirsty killers, or will they take prisoners of war and put? We know that they do, but why
They'll do whatever the Vorta wants them to do?
Why? I guess why does the Dominion as a take prisoners of war in general? If they,
it's the rules of war, and they don't.
Well,
want
you
as
saw
that.
it at the camp. It's training. They train.
Oh, and they train the Jem'Hadar with fighting them, but only with Klingons.
Well, probably not only with Klingons. Just in that episode, it was Klingons.
Yeah. He's a fighter like Riker. Is he talking about Sisko? The weaker his hands are, the harder he goes. That's right. Sisko.
Is that a dick joke?
I think it might be.
Weaker his hands.
Goatee versus goatee.
There you go.
Might be.
Enjoy, folks. There you go. You got your dick joke.
This is a great. I'm liking where this is going. Anyway, yeah. So some good things here. Sisko explaining. I'll explain to you guys how to do it with basic warp theory. Power through this scene. Here we got more shots inside of the plasma conduit. They're going along here, but guess what? When you fire up that impulse, Uh-oh. It's gonna get toasty in here, guys. Oh yeah, and there's some great lines in here, like "Don't badger the chief." You know,
This conduit's filthy, Chief. Don't you ever clean up in here?
And he's like, "We were nearly going to be melted alive." He says at one point.
Let's not badger the chief.
it's not badger the chief.
I'm sorry. It was very small of me.
The whole scene here in the turbo lift with the Jemadars second and Cisco, I thought was fun.
I did not understand. Like, all I needed was one of them to hold up like schematics of their plan. Right? That's the only thing that was missing.
Like Jay and Silent Bob, like, you know, we're gonna pull the pin out, and you know the whole stage is gonna come down.
I have a conflict with you that is easily exploitable, and I'm gonna talk about it in front of our prisoner.
Yeah, well, that's.
I like though that he does realize at the end where he's like, "Oh, I've given you enough information."
He's like, well, how do you feel about it? He starts being like a counselor to him. You know, he's like, tell me more. And then he's like, well, you know, the kids these days. And then he's like, I think I've given you enough information. Yeah, just like, let's get out of here. Clip over here. We got the Jemadar ship leaves. They just leave them here to like fly the Defiant home. Why? And they said that they could go attach Corridon or something like that. You know, I think it's like, well, maybe that'll come up in fun facts.
They use a tractor beam and drag the Defiant.
It seems like the Defiant would be a ship worth having, especially with Cisco being such a noteworthy captain. You think he would be a noteworthy prisoner of war. You wouldn't necessarily want to leave on the Defiant either.
Yeah, you transport the Vorta, take him hostage, you know, on this ship, and then they use the tractor beam and they drag the Defiant.
You would also think that like the Cardassians would want Cisco more than anybody. They don't seem to be in the loop.
Yeah. Well, it's like, but the Dominion should be smarter about this. Like,
well, yeah, they don't take the opportunity to kill the man that consistently beats them.
Yeah, he even says, like, you're the reason I exist because you stopped that Dominion fleet from coming through. So therefore, they created the Alphas. But shouldn't they also associate with him with the guy who wiped out an entire Dominion fleet without firing a shot?
Yeah, where's Scott Evil? Just there. He's like, we got a gun, just shoot him. Like,
no, Scott. I want some sharks with lasers attached to their heads.
Why do they have to threaten the senior staff? Why couldn't he say, "Hey, I have all of the other members of the crew in the cargo bay, and I'm gonna open up the cargo bay if you don't do what I say"?
Yeah.
It's in Cisco's profile. He doesn't care about those people.
Yeah, they know that. They know they can only exploit him with the senior officers.
It's like, who?
And even then, only some of them.
There are other people on this ship? What?
Bashir.
Well, and then they go, what's your backup plan? He's like, I will blow up the ship. You know, so that's fine.
As far as this is depicted on this show, the only people that are ever on this ship, other than the bridge crew, are like the three helpers O'Brien has in the engine room. Bashir might have one helper in sickbay. That's it.
Yeah. You know, we had Patricia Tallman from Babylon 5 was a nurse one time.
Great
silence, absolute silence.
That's a great Babylon 5 reference. I don't know what's wrong with you guys. Like,
I didn't watch that show.
Well, Patricia Tallman. Also from
anybody really.
The Night of the Living Dead remake from like 1990. She's starred in it.
Ooh,
that's
man,
hot reference.
Deep cut. Were you guys excited when the runabout was running away here from the plasma fire?
The only scene, I'll be honest with you, the only scene I like in this episode is the scene when the little ship is in the engine room and they're explaining to the audience like what is happening with the entire crew. Like Cisco is stalling and Nog is the one trying to get the codes and Worf is trying to block the Jemadar from finding it. That's the only scene I really like in this episode.
Yeah, Kira's the only one actually working on the engines.
Yes. Other than that, this episode not great for me.
That's why it's kind of like a heist.
Stop it, Dave. Stop it. We talked about this. Okay.
You need there's certain criteria for a heist. You need a montage. You need a crew assembly. You
need a double cross. There's no double cross in this.
No, well, they're double crossing the Jem'Hadar Alpha.
No, they don't even do that.
He says he's got to fix the warp drive, and then he does.
No. The bad guys lying about what they're doing is not a double cross.
Oh,
right. If they were teamed together and then that is a double cross, right? If they have mutual like enemies and then they double cross.
Do you think it's a bad thing that the Defiant has such an easily exploitable way into their ship?
Unless Luke Skywalker is using the Force to to blow up the Defiant, I think.
But couldn't you get like a drone? Couldn't you get like a futuristic Star Trek drone to go through there instead of a runabout? Or do you need a great
Not when
pilot
the
like
engines
this?
are on? They usually have the engines on.
Usually, but not this time.
So why isn't there no radiation that leaks into the engine room?
Right.
How it's just a
it's just
like
the
this.
flat door. It's fine.
Yeah, and then it shuts right away. No one even notices, and then they're like looking around, and oh, what a mess! I wonder what happened. They can tell that the warp core's offline somehow. I don't really understand how. What's giving that away because it's still lit up and everything. But then we see like, oh, look, so we got Jem'Hadars. They're making them work. And then like the second is all like, make this guy do it, Kira. She's like, okay, well, you got to start by doing so and so. Anyway, that's not the greatest part.
Too
but
fast. You're going too fast.
let's talk. Like, I like this part where they're like looking at the Jem'Hadar. And how does he not see them?
Peripherals, terrible peripherals.
It's right in his peripheral. Like they have great vision. That's explained to us by the Vorta. And they fly away. He's like, huh?
Classic.
Classic Deep Space Nine episode, Kevin.
Yeah. I also liked that the small runabout was going into like the nooks and crannies there of this engine room. I was like, oh, it's interesting that they have like these pipes that are going right through the thing that they can like hide behind.
Is that interesting?
Yeah, to me.
Was this episode sponsored by Micro Machines? They're like a Micro Machines Defiant that they sold.
Well, I like my little ships, guys, and like this is kind of like just like little ships. Like I don't know if it could fly around and come around. It's all right.
Is this why you like this episode? Because it makes you think, what if my models could fly around?
No, not exactly, but
not exactly. So not,
but
not off the mark.
Yeah.
I like that we're getting some interesting looks inside of the Defiant's inner workings. Get to see things. I'm kind of with O'Brien where he's like,
I'm not used to seeing things from this perspective.
Yeah, just like a new perspective. What's going on with these pipes? Why are they coming through? Why aren't they boxed in?
Lord. Yes. Important questions.
Yeah.
What's about the pipe?
Where's the bulkheads? Come on.
Yeah.
It's an engine room.
Well, I mean, it's from a design perspective. Okay, here we're at the scene you guys liked, where like they get what they call the visual sensors. But what I found was interesting here is that
camera.
It's a camera that can zoom in and zoom out, but they call it visual sensors. But from only what seems like a few seconds, they're able to deduce a lot of what's happening here.
Deep Space Nine had the people from New Rockstars get involved with them.
Yeah.
20-minute clip on 3 seconds.
Eric Voss.
Yeah, can you give me a shot of that display and like this, like becomes this, and they're like, oh, very clever. And you're like, did this make sense to you guys?
Well, not.
Oh yeah, I'm a Starfleet engineer. Totally, yeah. I knew before they did.
Yeah, I liked this part because I liked that it was like Dax and O'Brien were talking here, and like they were making Bashir dumb because he's like, "Can you let me in on this conversation?" But earlier, where they were talking about how small they were or big they were, I'm like, that should be Dax talking to O'Brien about it, not Bashir. But anyway, Bashir's a doctor.
He's also a genius, but he has no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, like and also, he's a genius, but only sometimes. Where he's a math genius, but not like he's bad at history, and At least 23rd century history.
Still can't tell a dog from a cat.
And what was it? A house from a cloud or something like that? You got some bigger problems than genetic engineering, I think. But yeah, Nog was trying to get the codes. Nog was the key. I was like, oh, Nog's the key to this plan. I think the first time I saw this. Worf is covering Kira's tracks, and Kira's the only one actually doing work. Is what's explained to us here. And they're like,
well, that's a great line by Brian, where he's like, Nog's a smart kid, but I don't think he's gonna do it.
yeah. But like, this was Sisko's plan. I don't know. Nog will figure it out. And for all intents and purposes, this plan would not have worked.
No,
they were gonna, yeah, and he was gonna blow up the ship. That was ultimately what he was eventually gonna get to if he had to. But on the off chance that Nog saved the day, they live. And also,
even then, they still needed the little ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, without the one little ship to save the day, it's all for naught, guys. Here Sisko and the second getting that into it.
Why don't they use this technology to fight this war?
I don't know. Yeah, it seems like a bunch of miniaturized runabouts firing photon torpedoes at Jem'Hadar soldiers would be an effective thing.
Yeah, just imagine the infiltration they will be able to do.
Because it seems like you could shrink somebody down indefinitely, right? It didn't seem like
bring them back exactly the way they were.
There's nothing explained to us in this episode. Yeah, that if we don't get bigger soon, we're gonna die or something like that, or we'll be like this forever.
There's no stakes.
There's no stakes. They could have maybe put that into there because I'm like, then why not do the fight the war? Guys, you can even see into like the aft windows here of the runabout in this one shot, which is nice. You don't always get that.
Like it's the perfect assassin. Like
I have a model just behind this curtain behind me of that runabout, and
yeah, it's about that size, right?
About that size. Yeah.
Yeah. One little ship.
Yep. One little ship.
In Star Trek Online, you can also get one little ship, and then it flies in, and it fires photon torpedoes at people. It's really fun. Anyway, so where were we? Oh yeah, him fighting with him. Wait, why are you making? Oh yeah, and then he this is when the Alpha comes in. He's like, why isn't the warp drive fixed yet? And the second's like, he's stalling. And then Sisko loses. He's like, he's reassigned all my men.
I can't get any work done in here.
Okay. He's like, you'll stop changing his orders. He's like, you're an idiot. You're playing into Sisko's hands. He's like, no, I'm an alpha man. We know.
I'm alpha, bro.
Yeah, he threatens to kill Kira here if he doesn't get things going. But he doesn't, of course. And then, yeah, they're just trying to avoid the Jem'Hadar seeing them. Some interesting hijinks here. They have to. This was CGI in a practical episode, guys. Back in the day, this was cutting edge technology.
Okay.
All right.
That doesn't make it a good episode, though.
It's so good.
Oh Lord.
They follow how they have to follow him through the door here. Oh man.
Wow. Seems like a tutorial episode from a video game.
Oh no.
We're gonna teach you the controls. Follow this dude to the bridge. Don't get seen.
Okay, where are we? Oh yeah, where's the Nog's trying to get into the codes. How's it going, Ensign? Not good. You inspire me, Ensign. And here he's talking to Kira, and Kira's like, "Well, this Jem'Hadar guy who's shadowing me is going to figure things out eventually." And he says,
"In a battle of wits between you and him, I'll bet on you every time."
What kind of odds are you giving?
What kind of odds are you giving? She's not too confident.
Shame that the Jem'Hadar don't have great hearing.
You think they would, since they're genetically engineered, and you could give them great hearing.
No, it's the Vorta. They have good ears. Can't see worth the thing,
Yeah, good ears, bad eyes, and a sense of taste and aesthetics and things like that. Here this alpha guy, he's talking to another Jem'Hadar guy. He's like, yeah, this is where he's like, the Gammas have many flaws.
Well, the Gammas have many flaws.
He's like, you'll be my new second once we get rid of this idiot Gamma second I have right now. He's a dinosaur, And
they're all dinosaurs.
Yeah. honored elder. They're like, he's like 6. And then they're like, they have to get in here to the into the bridge. Upside down here. I didn't think this was necessary to go upside down. But yeah, he's talking to Worf. Yeah, he tells him to go blow up the ship. He tells him to put a computer virus into like the warp core. Once we go to warp 1, we'll blow up. This is one of my funnier moments of humor where she's like, "Don't worry, I've got a delicate touch."
Don't worry, I have a light touch.
Not according to Worf.
What does that mean?
Not according to Worf. No delicate touch.
This is not a good episode. I'm saying the more we go through it,
this is a great episode. Look, he says you could shadow this panel if you went too hard here. So you got to boom, tap.
Wouldn't you? Is it a touch? I always thought it was like a heat, like a touch screen. But
yeah, well, apparently not. You can touch it with the edge of your ship. Why couldn't they use the phaser? Maybe that would work. I don't know. They're going the old-fashioned way. They come in. These Jem'Hadar who took all the chairs off the bridge, but all these consoles are meant to be sat at. They're not they're not at waist level.
Where did they put them?
I don't know, the cargo bay with all the people. I think they did this also just so that there would be a reason that the Defiant could hide under this table at the back of the bridge, and so that the Jem'Hadar, if they were sitting, they would presumably see it.
The Rubicon, you mean?
Yeah, the Rubicon. Not the Rio Grande. But they come up with this whole plan of like he's got to go inside of like the casing, guys. And they're but he couldn't breathe the air outside. I always thought that was interesting. If you shrink down, like in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, you wouldn't be able to breathe the air. It'd be too big. The hemoglobin in your body couldn't absorb it.
What's funny is they even touch on that in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And with the pollen. He can't inhale the pollen.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, so like, but I thought that was some interesting science fiction. But they say, well, we can beam you inside of a circuit casing, and I can beam some of our small compressed air, and then that will fill the space, and then you can get out. And then he says he's going to take Bashir with him. He's not too thrilled. Wasn't this fun? Like this miniature little like circuit place, this electric forest as it's described by Bashir.
Yeah, I think I saw it in Lost in Space, like the original. I think they did this. It was very similar.
Oh yeah,
looking, yeah.
Jaemeel, what did you think of the design of it?
Honestly, I didn't care. I like this part. Yes, it's kind of interesting with like how they have it fitted out, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. But then the scene just goes on, and on, and then they cut to another scene, and then it goes on, and then
they're not gonna build this for nothing. They gotta make use of this set. When are they gonna use this again?
This is Move Along Home. This is the lower chap.
This is like a third chap kind of thing.
Chap.
I had an answer ready and waiting for you, Dave. Don't think
that scene is like the scene in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids where they're in the grass and they're having to like figure out like what's going on.
Yeah, this whole scene with the white is kind of pointless. Where
which they could have poisoned. Why couldn't they poison the white?
That's one plan. It's just like because she's like worried about getting caught here under the table, I guess. But like, I don't know. I don't think they're looking for a miniaturized runabout, so I think you're okay. And so like these two are here working on things. He's not used to seeing things from the perspective. They pull out the white. I was like, I didn't know that they could get the white out without a Vorta, or can the Vorta give them like a few days rations or something like that? And then I
think it's just whoever's in charge has the white, whether
okay.
it's Vorta or not, right?
Yeah, but if you're like a rebel Jem'Hadar faction, couldn't you just sustain yourself indefinitely then?
That doesn't happen.
There wasn't that. What the original episode with Weyoun, they were rebel Jem'Hadars that were like trying to steal the Iconian Gateway. They'd killed all their Vortas. So I don't know. I'm unclear.
Yeah, where do you get more once you're out?
I don't know. You have to get more. It's not like that box of white is unlimited, right? It like only has so much. So, and they know they have to get canisters, like when they were beaming them up. I don't know. There's a lot to it, guys. Cool scene here. We're back inside of the electric playground of this circuit casing
again.
You know? Why couldn't they just wear environmental suits?
Because this episode's stupid, Dave. That's why. It doesn't have much to say. It's a silly episode where they make the same joke over and over.
I think, Jeff, you're being a little too hard on this.
Davin's with you. He's going 6.5.
A little too hard.
A little too hard.
6.5. That's generous.
No.
How is this episode not at least half as good as
Bashir's helping O'Brien focus. He's like, focus on something, O'Brien. Come on. You can draw these circuits in your sleep.
No, we can't. Like, there's a whole bunch of like disbelief moments in this episode where I'm just like, what? How did something like Far Beyond the Stars, get written, and then this?
Different writers. 26 episodes in a season. Look, they have to get these like little circuit things that they build. Fun with props, guys.
Fun with props.
Yeah. I like this kind of stuff, I guess. A little bit more. And they had to like get this thing in, problem solving where they pulled it up here and get it in, but then it just falls out. And so, come on, Julian, get it back in there. You augment man. And puts it in there, and then they weld it shut.
Yeah, with a phaser.
All he needed in that scene was jazz hands.
Pointed a phaser at him, and then they get the hell out of there.
They can't breathe.
And I like how Nog is like, "Oh man, I am good," because he gets this to work right when they release it, but it was actually them who did it. Hence the heist. Stealing the ship back. He's like, I did it, Captain.
Look, you made Jaemeel leave.
Try to sell this episode to Jaemeel.
It's not a heist.
Yeah, it's not a heist. It's not. It's got some. It's a homage, maybe. Homage. So.
All right, can we move it along here? What's going on?
Move along home. To the second shaft. Well, I don't know. There's like so many screenshots here, and I'm just trying to get through them. And you guys tell me what you think. Like this whole scene where the runabout flies in and they're shooting things.
I thought it was quite reckless to be firing phasers and photon torpedoes, miniature or not, next to the warp core.
Don't worry, you got Bashir on weapons. You don't need to worry about it. He's gonna be precise. He's a surgeon. Like it's like a laser scalpel for him, right? And like this guy up here on the upper engineering level who kept shooting at them. They shoot him down, or he's like the guy pissing off. Kira manages to like steal a gun right away.
That's my favorite moment of the episode, by the way. It's it's the next snap. Just comes from the side, doesn't have any leverage.
Nowhere.
Yeah, out of nowhere. Yeah. Normally you would come from behind and do it, but no, he's like, I gotta come from the side and snap through.
Yeah, and this guy up here, who does he do it twice? No, maybe I just screenshotted it twice.
There we go.
This is where Nog gets into the fight, and like this guy just knocks the hell out of him. Like Aaron Eisenberg really sells it. And then Worf fighting this other guy. This guy's shooting down here. He's shooting like a phaser rifle at the warp core. He's more reckless, this Jemitar, I say. Yeah, I like this. This
guy's really starting to get on my nerves.
I know Brad's like, it's Bashir. Bashir's got like the photon torpedo lock. And what would it be like to get hit with a 1 centimeter photon torpedo? I don't know. Like, apparently not good. We're along here. Kira kills. She's the one who ultimately shoots the second in the chest. I guess the Alpha, the first guy, I think he dies in like the early part of this fight, or is that who Worf snaps the neck of? I don't know. I'm unclear. Or maybe it's Cisco here who. I don't know. I'm not sure who kills who. Unimportant. But they in this fight they take command of the bridge, take out that virus. Kira, he says, get on that right away. And then and then this guy, the Jem'Hadar talking,
He was a first. They don't need to listen. Obedience brings victory. And victory is
victory is death. So him being him not having mutinizing against, or mutineering, I guess is the right word, mutineering against the first, as he probably should have. Instead, this was his tragic downfall in the episode. Hence why this is such a great episode, Jeff.
Yeah, and he doesn't care, and the Jem'Hadar are stupid that way. Everything is about obedience and structure and hierarchy, regardless of they have a different thought. So I don't know. I guess
it seems like the show writers, they want us to find the Jem'Hadar noble, but I really don't.
Right, exactly. They're not. That not only are they not noble, they're I don't know. They don't seem to have any individuality.
They do and they don't. They do, but it's only to an extent. It doesn't supersede their belief in discipline and the chain of command. They're very strict with it.
Yeah, they're like hardcore Marines that don't even think for themselves. They just follow orders.
Yeah, basically. I don't know why. I just feel like the writers want us to like them more than we do. I just see them as evil foot soldiers.
That's what they were trying to do.
Maybe.
No. I thought that was a stupid line.
It was a stupid line.
You couldn't give him something better.
Yeah.
I do not wish to be ridiculed.
All right. And then, here we see this little ship, guys. They're waving, blowing kisses to Worf.
That's your wife. And I think he's like, that's my wife. That's about it.
Yeah. Did Matt Damon see this before he decided to do downsizing?
Oh God, yeah.
Maybe.
Very similar.
Back at the station, they get back. The ship doesn't look too beat up though. At this point, go over to the ship, and they're back at Quark's, and Worf has got his first poem.
It is my first poem. I have worked very long and very hard on this.
Just fucking with her.
The title of his sex tape.
Yeah. And I do
not wish to be ridiculed.
Here we go.
This is the story of a little ship that took a little trip.
And then she takes the pad from him and says, "There's something on this pad." And then that look he gives back is great because it's like the kind of thing. It's
she's like, "You're ribbing me," and he's like, "Yes."
Yeah, there it is. There's the face.
That's the face Worf makes when he pulls a prank on you.
Still learning how to smile.
Yeah. Klingons do not smile.
That might be the only time you see Worf smile.
In any kind of meaningful way. Yeah. But this is a nice moment with these two. And then
this is the funniest moment of this episode.
So O'Brien and Bashir bragging to Morn and Adabo girl at the bar, and then Odo comes in, his only appearance in the episode, just studying them, saying that they're 1 or 2 centimeters smaller, something a changeling could observe, of course. And so
the line isn't funny. It's what the Dabagul does that makes it hilarious.
Looks at them. She's like, "You are smaller."
No,
both of them.
Instead of leaning on the bar, she stands up upright, and she just see her tower over them.
Yeah.
That makes it funny.
And they casted a tall girl on purpose. For that.
Yeah.
And Dabble girls always seem to be tall. I don't know.
This is a hell of a dress she's got going. While we're on the subject.
Do you like the dress?
It's fine. It's just very sheer. So there's it's good though. I do like it. Here we got Odo and Quark, kind of teaming up here. A rare team up between them. at the expense of O'Brien and Bashir, who run off to sickbay. And
See, folks, even Quark
Confirmed.
understands yes and.
Why is the Dabo girl standing like she's a soldier?
she was a soldier.
Because she's still working. Her boss
She's
is
working.
there.
She's working. Working girl. Okay.
All right, guys. So that's the end of the episode and screenshots. Jeff, you got some fun facts for us?
Yeah, I got a few. Okay, Kira's role in the teaser of this episode was written specifically to act as a surrogate for the audience, according to Ronald D. Moore. He said, quote, "It's an absurd premise, and Kira's reaction acknowledges that. It's like a signal to the audience. Like, this is kind of silly, folks, and we know it's kind of silly, but just try to run with us on this one."
Yeah, and I'm with him. I guess I accepted the...
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried. Okay. Off screen, this episode was humorously referred to as Honey, I Shrunk the Runabout.
Not the heist episode, Dave. Not the heist episode.
Not Ocean's 11.
Yeah. Ira Stephen Bear and Renee Echevarria both wished they had used more comedic characters than the Jem'Hadar. Echevarria later said they should have used the Pakleds, while Bear thought they should have used Harry Mudd.
This episode?
Yes.
In an interview with
How old Harry Mudd would have been?
Yeah, I can't use
Yeah.
Harry Mudd. That's dumb. Like, there's somebody else they could bring in, though. I'm sure.
Packlets would have been all right.
Bring in, like, the outrageous Okona or somebody.
In an interview with Cine Fantastic magazine, Cole Meany stated that he found One Little Ship a highlight of the season. He commented, quote, "It gave us a chance to fool around. We love to do comedy. There are some very good comic actors here. Terry is wonderful at comedy, and of course, Renee is a wonderful comic actor, so we enjoy it." Renee's barely in the episode. Yeah, Cole. Yeah, okay. But okay.
So they had like 20 minutes of deleted scenes of just that last bar scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. This episode was nominated for an Emmy Award for Outstanding Special Visual Effects for a series.
I agree. It's cool. It's really good for the time.
When the win,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
sorry, yeah, go ahead.
But he didn't win.
Give any of the
I don't know if it won.
Far Beyond the Stars nomination, but we can give it for One Little Ship for special effects. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, that's what they care. When the Vorta Gelnon is speaking with the Jem'Hadar first, he says, quote, "I will resume our mission to Corodan. Sorry. Let's hope the Federation's dilithium miners will be as surprised to see us as the Defiance crew was." This was a reference to the episode Journey to Babel in the original series, season 2, episode 10, where one of the subplots related to Corodan's membership in the Federation. In that episode, Ambassador Sarek also made reference to its potential for dilithium mining when he stated Corodan has nearly unlimited wealth of dilithium crystals.
And the Tellarites didn't like it.
Okay. This episode went into production before Far Beyond the Stars, but it aired the week after, presumably due to the lengthy post-production special effects.
So the fact that it comes after Far Beyond the Stars is not the episode's fault. Originally, this would have come before it.
Even before, it sucks. Okay. As with Lost in Space, Trip Through the Robot, this is an obvious homage to Isaac Asimov's Fantastic Voyage from 1966. Okay. The crew of the USS Enterprise were shrunk to similar proportions as that of the USS Rubicon crew in the animated series episode, The Terratin Incident. I don't know what that is. Gelnon would also appear in the subsequent episode Honor Among Thieves. So we're going to see him again. We got a 47 reference in this episode. A panel to open the bridge door has a 47 button on it. It's not the one they hit, but it has a 47 button.
That's why it doesn't count.
It counts. It is okay, and finally, it is revealed in this episode that the Dominion have begun producing Jem'Hadar in the Alpha Quadrant, that they have a genetic makeup than the ones produced in the Gamma Quadrant. The Alphas, as they are called, are supposed to be better suited for battle in the Alpha Quadrant than their predecessors, the Gammas. There were plans to further develop the differences and animosity between the Alpha and Gammas in later episodes, but the plotline was abandoned after this episode, and no other mention of the two breeds was ever made. One reason for dropping the plotline was its inherent flaw. No one could come up with any valid differences between the two quadrants that would require a different breeding in the Jem'Hadar. Also, this idea of the conflicts between the two Jem'Hadar types was created for the comedy aspect of this episode alone.
Well, yeah, I guess like I dislike that they set this up and never really pursued it after this, and I think like there could have been more. They could have made more visual differences maybe between the two types. I didn't even feel like in this episode that they look any different at all. Like, and I think that could have been something that would have been interesting.
I don't know. Maybe David Weddle and Bradley Thompson, who wrote this episode, I think they screwed up in a bunch of different ways in this episode. That's just my opinion. I don't know what else they wrote, but I don't think they had their thumb on the pulse of the season when they wrote it. But hey, Cole Meany liked it, so what do I know? Okay, that's it. Right on the ratings.
That's the end. Okay, let's bring in our ratings then, and put this F. Jeff, what are you giving this?
5.
I'm giving this a 9.
No, come on, no.
Oh yes,
A 9.
Don't make me go higher.
You're threatening me. Jeez.
Neil, what's your rating?
4.8.
Kevin,
That's
out. Somebody else must like this, right?
7.
7.
Too high.
Okay.
I do like this. I enjoyed it.
All right. We're averaging it at 6.5, which is also what Davan gave it. Okay. Let's set the bar. It has like the same rating on IMDb as like Who Mourns for More, and it's 7.6, but whatever you want.
Nonsensical.
Yeah. And good episode, I'd say ensemble. Dominion War, I guess a little bit too. All right. Well, the next episode, guys, just looking ahead after this one, is called Honor Among Thieves. And in this episode, O'Brien is sent to infiltrate the Orion Syndicate.
Oh, that's a good episode.
See, I think that's an episode I won't enjoy as much as this episode.
Yeah, that's a pointless episode. Why is it there? Like everybody, you guys are all saying, why is this episode here? But why is anything to do with the Orion Syndicate in season 6?
And why is O'Brien sent?
I don't really care about where its placement in the season is as much, but what I do care about is some sort of character development or some sort of me caring about the episode in some way. This episode is just like, I get it. It's one note, and at least there's more to chew on in the Ryan Syndicate episode.
It's an interesting story. I think it's weird that it's an O'Brien story completely. I think it's like it would make more sense even giving it to Bashir, who's more interested in espionage and Section 31 kind of stuff. Even though they haven't even done that yet, have they? We haven't even got to that point.
Nope.
So, yeah, it's I don't know. It's not my favorite episode of Deep Space Nine, but maybe I'll like it more on the rewatch next week when we hit it. So, it's no One Little Ship, Jaemeel. So
You'll hate it.
All right. Well, I think that's our effort. So 6.5 is what we think. It's not as good as Far Beyond the Stars. I think we all know that. Right now, guys, season 5 or 6 is trailing behind season 5 in terms of our average rating, 8.3 compared to the 8.6 that season 5 ended on. So, but there's more to come in season 6. So we're gonna see what comes from this after this. Also, did you know here on Live Long and Podcast, a great network of Star Trek podcasts, this one here on Deep Space Nine, we reviewed this one. We also do Enterprise. We do that every Monday. We're into the Xindi War now and season 3 of that show. Kevin and I and Jody and Adam, check that out. Plus, we've talked about the movies in the past. We've talked about the original series and all the streaming shows that have been coming out for the last many years, including coming up here in 2023. We got Picard season 3 set to kick off in the very near future. I did a trailer preview and reaction video with Davan yesterday about that, and we also looked at the one scene previewing that. You guys excited?
Favors to disappointed.
I'm not. I'm more down on Picard. I'm not very optimistic.
I felt you were optimistic when you were watching it. From where you were, I felt like you seemed.
Well, when I'm talking to Davan, and when Davan likes something, it's easier to sometimes get excited with him. Although, when he hates something that I'm like, I think you should maybe give this a chance. I don't know. But, he's, I guess like with Picard season 2, which I was so down on, Picard season 3, which I know they filmed back to back, I'm just a little wary. But we're going to be covering it here on Live Long Podcast when that show comes out, for better or worse. Maybe I'll be surprised. Maybe my optimism will be rewarded, and we're going to get a great show, because they're already talking about doing a new season, even though this was supposed to be the last season of Picard.
They just had so much fun that they're going to do it again.
Yeah, they had so much fun. Like, why not make another album? We said it was the last album, but it won't be, sort of thing. So anyway, that's coming up. Also, we have lots of other stuff here, like video games. We've been doing more Star Trek video games.
Hold on a second. You didn't talk about your Star Trek Online video that streaming you did.
Yeah, I've been teaching Davan Star Trek Online in the tutorial series. As we've been calling it. We were doing that. I got that on Sunday, and we'll keep doing that. I'm teaching him the game. He's learning even just how to fly the ship around, whereas I'm a little bit more advanced in the game. So we were fighting some Terrans the other day, which he hates the mirror universe. So that was even the best part, is that I got him to kill a bunch of Terrans in the TSD, as they called it. Anyway, I'm rambling, guys. Star Trek Radio Theater, which we do sometimes. You should check that out. The Final Frontier, Star Trek 5. We recorded that at the end of December. Still working on the edited version, but I will get that out. And then we'll get into season 4 of Radio Theater in this new year, as well as the Science Division, where we do things like our trivia and our debates and different things like that. Class L probes. There's the Locutors of Trek, who they go into the deep dive conversations and different challenges and different things like that. And we are part of a federation of podcasts. You can check us out at ufpodcast.com. We got great shows like Trivial Debates, which we got coming up on Sunday, January 29th. We got Jaemeel Robinson hosting, Jeff and I competing along with Josh Foster in a very reality show focused episode.
I'm going to drop the trailer after this show. So.
Yeah, it's coming out. Of course, this is very tied into our Super Mater Brothers podcast, which Foster and Jaemeel and Jeff and I are all on, covering things like Survivor, Big Brother, but also we do Marvel over there as well, and have been for a number of years, and that's called the Mary Mater Marvel Society. Dave, Davan, and Jaemeel, where we cover the Marvel things. Ant-Man did come up in February. There's the Hellbound podcast, another Federation member with Alex Blackburn, Michael Chan, where they talk about horror, that comes out on Wednesdays. X-Rated, an X-Men the Animated Series review show that Davan and Andre do every Tuesday. They would have been on tonight. They've done some great interviews, like Alison Seeley Smith and like the creators, Eric and Julia Leewald and Lenore Zahn. That also has Andre, who does the Graphic Histories podcast, a great interview podcast where they talk to people about film and graphic novels and different things. Hold Up is the movie podcast. That's with Murphy and Davan, and that's where watching 3 movies, talking about where they hold up under a certain theme. I was recently on the politics episode where I showed them a great movie called The American President, and they didn't appreciate it. That's all I gotta say.
Kevin, I highly recommend you go watch that episode.
I love that
all
episode.
Right.
at least the part where we're talking about the American president specifically, but we also talked about Dr. Strangelove and Lincoln. And coming up next is the war movies. That will be up in 2 Wednesdays from now, I guess a week from tomorrow, where they're gonna be doing like Bridge of the River Kwai and A Bridge Too Far and 1917. I think are the 3 movies they're doing next. And yeah, I think that's all the Federation members, everybody. Wasn't it fun talking about One Little Ship? I thought so. All right. Well,
it's fun, with you all.
It's always fun. All right. Well, let's go out with this clip as we say goodnight. Live long and podcast, everyone. See you next time.
Are you telling me I'm going to be this bloody tall for the rest of my life?
This bloody tall, actually.